We're back with the Fox weather alert. Hurricane Erin triggering tropical storm conditions along the East Coast, already causing floods in North Carolina. Areas like the Outer Banks are facing evacuation orders as dangerous rip currents wreak havoc on popular tourist hotspots. Fox Weather's Mike Seidel is live in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina with more. What are you seeing?
Hey, good morning, Brian. This is it. Erin throwing all it has at us. Here comes the tide in. High tide right about now, but fortunately the good news this morning is it's barely getting up to the dune line. We love to see this. We have one more high tide of concern later on today. But look at the angry Atlantic. The buoy closest to the hurricane, well east of Cape Hatteras, has reported 45-foot waves and wind gusts to 83 miles an hour. Here on the coast, not as serious. Hatteras has gusted to 51 miles an hour. And again, the waves breaking out here are 10 to 15 footers, but they're breaking well beyond the pier. When I was on the Kitty Hawk Pier earlier taking video at the end, well, you could just feel the pier being rattled and shaken by the force of the water. One thing that's staying offshore, as we thought might happen, is the rain. We might not get any rain out of this hurricane, and once again, inland, it's a non-story. But on the beaches, we're concerned about beach erosion. The rip current statements and the high surf advisories continue through midnight tomorrow. Tomorrow, less wind, but still dangerous swimming here on the Outer Banks. Highway 12 still closed. They're going to try to open it up sometime on Friday with the big front-end loaders. Brian?
All right, thanks, Mike. We'll check with you again. Now I want to go over to Janice Dean.
Hurricane Erin pushing north past the Carolinas, creating dangerous conditions up and down the East Coast. There's storm surge warnings in place throughout North Carolina's Outer Banks and life-threatening rip currents expected from South Carolina all the way up to New York. And Fox Weather's Mike Seidel, live from Kitty Hawk on North Carolina's Outer Banks, where, yeah, it's certainly packing a little bit of a punch there, Mike.
Indeed, Dana, and thanks for throwing it out here in the wind and the sand. We've had wind gusts here 45 miles an hour. Down at Cape Hatteras, they've gusted to 51. The highest gust we've seen is way offshore at the Hatteras buoy, 175 miles offshore. Earlier this morning, an 85-mile-an-hour wind gust and wave heights at 45 feet. Those waves now have dropped off to 24 to 25 feet. The hurricane is right out there, about 200 miles east of Hatteras. It's going to go by us. It's moving north-northeast at 17 miles an hour. The surf is going to stay up today. Now, we just had a high tide, and the good thing about the high tide, it did not get into the dune line, so that's promising news. We have one more high tide of concern this evening, but the bottom line is you got to stay out of the water. The beaches are shut down again today. Whether they shut them down tomorrow remains to be seen. The winds tomorrow knock off 10 miles an hour from the north. We'll still have an agitated Atlantic Ocean. The other thing I've noticed, we haven't lost much sand. We don't have any deep cuts, erosion cuts in the beaches. So as we get back out here in the morning, we will probably have a pretty decent looking beach, although we've had some wind erosion from the sand. And one thing you've noticed, it's not raining. All the rain is staying offshore. So it's all about the wind, the blowing sand, and the blowing sea foam here at Kitty Hawk.
All right, great report.
Hurricane Erin is slowly pushing past the Carolinas right now, but not before slamming the coast of North Carolina and Virginia. The Cat 2 storm is not expected to make landfall, but it's the power, the sheer power of its winds that's creating a pretty dangerous situation along the coast. Storm surge warnings are in place throughout the North Carolina's Outer Banks, and video shows massive swells surging under those beachfront homes as the state now remains under a state of emergency. Want to go live to Fox weather meteorologist Mike Seidel, who is live from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And Mike, saw you this morning. You were battling some pretty strong winds. It's a little bit more calm now.
It's still pretty windy, Aisha. We still have winds blowing 40 miles an hour in gusts. That's tropical storm force. Highest gust we've seen so far on the Outer Banks, Nags Head and down towards the Hatteras area at the Coast Guard station, 51 miles an hour. The best news of the day is the high tide this morning did not breach the dune line. You can see the fence and the rather hefty dune, which protects the properties with the sea oats and the fences. It got up to the fences, then backed off. Now we have one more high tide early this evening. I'm not overly concerned. The hurricane right now is about 200 miles just off the coast east of where we are, moving away north-northeast now, just under 20 miles an hour, so it's pulling away quickly. On the backside, we're actually getting a few raindrops. That's it. I mean, this hurricane is so far offshore that it's really only a beach story, and it's so far offshore we're hardly getting any rain. So we have lucked out on certainly the beach issues here. Looking down the coast, we have some undulations on the beaches, so we've lost a little bit of sand, but I think overall we're coming out of this better than we had expected with this storm. Strongest one I saw was the Cape Hatteras buoy, about 170 miles offshore. 4 o'clock this morning, 63 gusting to 85 miles an hour. If we had had those kind of winds here, we would have had structural damage, we would have had power outages, but that's not on the table. This is pulling away, but still rip current issues here tomorrow and up the East Coast. Jersey Shore, Maryland, Delaware, those areas still are going to have issues tomorrow with the surf and the wind. We'll have the sun back out here, Aisha, and it will be a pretty nice beach day. Remains to be seen if swimmers will be allowed to go in the water tomorrow. They may hold them off until Saturday. Aisha?
Well, that is the best forecast we've heard in some days. Mike, thank you for sharing that. And we hope everybody stays safe out there. Maybe get some Waffle House a little bit later if you can.
Fox News Alert, we are tracking Hurricane Erin as it continues to bring life-threatening conditions up the East Coast. Many beaches along the East Coast are closed because of the risk of intense rip currents. Already, lifeguards have had to rescue dozens of people from the churning waters between Georgia and North Carolina. And despite those warnings, some surfers are still taking to the waters off the coast of New York, defying officials. Fox weather meteorologist and storm specialist Mike Seidel live in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina with more. Mike.
Good afternoon, Emily. And the wind's still howling here, gusting over 40 miles an hour. The good news today is the high tide this morning did not breach the dune, did not go into the very important, really life-saving dune with the sea oats and also the fences. It got up to the fence and then came back out. Now, we have one more high tide of concern, but I'm not overly concerned. Looking down the beach, you can see some undulations in the sand. So we've lost a little bit of beach, but we don't have those giant cuts and beach erosion we've seen in the past. This hurricane now is a little over 200 miles east of Cape Hatteras. Look at that satellite picture. This is a monster storm, but it is weakening now. Low-end Cat 2, 100-mile-an-hour winds, moving rapidly north-northeast. Dry air wrapped around on the backside. In fact, we had sunshine this morning, of all things. Now we've got a few light showers. There's the surf. Boy, it is ratcheted up. It's agitated like a giant wash tub. Buoys offshore still reporting 15 to 25-foot waves. I can't tell you how big they are. I went out on the end of the pier earlier before they shut it down, and they're just crashing way out there. I'd say 12 to 15 footers. Let me show you the video I shot from the end of the pier. Good thing they closed it down, because at the end of the pier, when those waves came by, you could feel the pier vibrating and jostling back and forth. So for safety measures, they did that. Beaches are still closed for swimming today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a much better day. The sun will be out. The winds will be around 10 miles an hour from the north, but we're still going to have the dangerous surf and rip current issue here. The main impact from this storm in North Carolina has been on Hatteras Island, Highway 12 from the Oregon Inlet down to Buxton. They have had a mandatory evacuation earlier this week, and now the highway has been closed since yesterday. They're going to try to get it open tomorrow, Emily, but they got to get the bulldozers, the front end loaders in there and try to get all the sand off the highway before they can get that highway opened up. Here, it's all about the beach. I went inland to grab a sandwich 2 miles inland, and Emily, you'd hardly know there's anything going on, just a light breeze and a few raindrops. Back to you in New York.
Stay safe and tell that guy behind you to stay safe. He's had his back to the ocean. The lifeguard's going to have to save him too. Pete's sake. All right, you guys stay safe, stay dry.
Hurricane Erin is charging north, lashing miles of coastland with massive swells. Millions of people under coastal flood warnings. Fox weather meteorologist Mike Seidel is live. He's in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, where the surf is churning. What's the latest from where you are, Mike?
Hey, good afternoon, John. Well, the wind's still gusting upwards of 40 miles an hour. Highest gust we've seen on the Cape area, 51 this morning. So that's about it. Offshore, we've had wind gust over 80 miles an hour, but well offshore. The real story here has been the wave action. Look at this surf out here, breaking as far as the eye can see. And coming in and rolling into the beaches, we've had minimal beach erosion. That's a good thing. The wave fights on the buoys offshore reporting 10 to 15 footers still. Now, one buoy off Hatteras earlier this morning, 150 miles out there, nautical miles. How about 45 footers? So back on the beach, we were concerned about the high tide this morning going into the dune line. It's a very nice dune. A lot of beaches would like to see something like this, John. It goes up high. It's got sea oats. We've got fences. But but the water only got up to the edge of the fence. Now, the evening high tide is forecast to be about 8 inches higher, so again, I don't think there's going to be any issue, certainly not getting into the properties. The real impact by far has been Hatteras Island. Highway 12 is still closed and will remain closed probably through tomorrow. I don't think they're going to get it open until Saturday because they've got to get through the morning high tide cycle. Then they got to get the front end loaders to get all the sand from Pea Island down through Rodanthe into Buxton. But other than that, tomorrow here, winds back off north at 10, and the beaches will be sunny. The question is now, John, will they allow people to go in the water tomorrow, or do they wait till Saturday? Rip current's still a big deal from here all the way up to Cape Cod. John?
Yeah, I'm sure there's been a lot of shifting of sandbars there, so you want to make sure it clears out before people go back in. Mike.